crisis, then we did the Greece crisis in detail, and now another interlinked crisis is the European debt crisis or the Europe's sovereign debt crisis. Now, these all the three crises actually are quite related to each other. There are common elements in all of them, but they together created a lot of havoc because the global economic system was on the verge of failure. So between 2008 to around 2012, when I talk about the European crisis, it was these crises were a great threat to the entire world. Things were getting worse, and bailouts from the government, and in Europe's case, bailout from IMF were required for ensuring stability and avoiding any further systemic risk or contagion effect of one bank failing or one financial institution failing, and that's spreading to the entire economy, like what happened in the US with the fall of Lehman Brothers. So, what is Europe's sovereign debt crisis? It refers to the financial crisis that happened where several European countries were on the verge of collapse due to high government debt, rising bond yields, and failure of the government was at the center or the root cause of these crises, which were threatening the functioning of financial institutions also. So now what happened? Uh, Subprime crisis took place in 2008, and subsequently the banking system in Iceland, which is one of the member nations in European Union, the banking system completely collapsed. Now, there, if we go to the background of the situation, there was a lot of privatization in the banking or the financial sector that was taking place, and two major banks there collapsed, and that had a ripple effect on the entire banking system. And this was followed by bursting of housing bubbles in Europe also. So it was not only in the US that the housing bubble burst, but in some of the European nations also this happened. More specifically, this happened in Spain. So these were the five countries which were at the center of this debt crisis. So it originated in Iceland, and then it spread primarily to Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, and Spain. I'm sorry, Iceland was not part of European Union, but many people or investors from Europe had uh, invested in the Iceland's banks. So there, when their bank failed, primarily the investors were from Europe, and then this triggered the after effects and repercussions in the European economy. Now, these countries were together known by the acronym PEGS. So this was somewhat offensive also, but the countries were Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, and Spain. And such was the effect of the debt crisis in these countries that overall confidence in the European business and economies was falling. European Union is a set of 27 countries. The strongest economies there is one Germany and the other France. So they then came to the center stage, and then with the IMF and the European Central Bank, they tried to avoid this collapse because this would have led to, if let free, this would have led to the collapse of euro, and this financial association known as the European Union. Now, around this time, credit rating of most of the countries was downgraded, and if I talk specifically about Greece, because the crisis in Europe started in 2009. Now, obviously, subprime had after effects, but for Europe, it was when Greece was found to be at the verge of collapse. So the debts were downgraded, moved to junk status, and bailout packages had to be offered. Now, along with Greece, other European nations were also under vigilance with respect to the government deficit. So, austerity measures were implemented. The problem with austerity measures is, again, that is a vicious cycle. Now, if the government is not spending, there is lower investment, there is lower capital formation, and then that negatively impacts the GDP also. Now, the factors with each of these five countries was different. As I told you, a housing bubble burst in Spain. Domestic banking sector in Ireland was shattered. There was sluggish economic growth in Portugal and Italy, and ineffective tax collection. So there was a lot of tax evasion in Greece. So they all together presented a threat to the euro. Now, when in 2009, the world realized that Greece could default, major financial institutions and associations led by Germany and France, they came to the rescue of these five nations. What were the causes? Now, there are multiple causes of this crisis. More specifically, what happened was when many weaker countries joined the European Union, they got access to a lot of credit. As was the case with Greece. So, even when the fundamentals of the economy were not very good, them by being part of the European Union, they were able to get credit, they were able to get funds. Now, Germany was spending these funds on research and development, on building the infrastructure. But what was Greece doing at that time? It was spending this fund on populist policies for the public. So, political reasons entered into the usage of these funds, and these five Eurozone members, they were unable to repay back their government debt, and third party assistance was required. Around this time, the European Financial Stability Facility was also formed, and ECB, which is the European Central Bank, IMF, they together with the stability force, they bailed out these economies. So, common currency of euro, which gave wrong perception about the weaker economies, led to this crisis and one of the biggest reasons for the European debt crisis. The second is the 2008 financial crisis. So that I believe all of us are clear with how that spread from US to the European markets. Then high sovereign debt. So Greece already was at 113% debt vis-a-vis the GDP. Now, when EU was adopting euro in 1999, this was done under the Maastricht Treaty. Now, this treaty said that the member nations will keep their budget deficit, or say fiscal deficit, should be below 3%, and this debt to GDP ratio should not be more than 60%. So you see in early 2000s only, the by 2009 2010, Greece had a GDP debt GDP ratio of 113%. So there was no penalty as such on the member nations that failed to meet these two requirements. So the implementation of this treaty was not taken seriously. Countries which were failing to meet these targets were not punished. So that led to relaxation on the part of other member nations also. So for Greece, it specifically the case is that it was above the budget deficit every year since 2001, the year in which it joined EU, and no action was taken against this economy. After that, when your economy is failing or there is a question mark, there is a red flag there, then the people who are lending will demand a higher interest rate. So they want, for the higher risk they are assuming of investing in these countries or lending to these countries, they started demanding higher interest rates, and downgrading by credit rating agencies meant that fresh flow of capital was lessening in these countries. Uh, Ireland and Spain, the housing bubble, the real estate bubble burst, and because of which the bank loans were given for the real estate sector, they became bad, and that kind of led to failure of banks also, where now the government had to step in to avoid this bank run or failure of banks. Okay, now we come to the bailout and what kind of austerity measures were taken. So, this was taken for the European Union at large. The government had to had to stop public spending. So, like was the case with Greece, the government had to keep a cap on the expenditure that was being made, and people in the younger age were actually disheartened. There were protests, like in Greece, there were protests, violent protests in other nations also, because for funding they had to implement the austerity program, which required the nations to cut down on health care spending, then limiting their spending, increasing the taxes, cutting down the wages. All these were against the public at large. So there was a lot of opposition against these measures. Again, the emergency measure one was that, as I told you, the stability facility for the European nations was formed, and the stabilization mechanism was also implemented in January 2011. Now, what was learned or what happened after this? Now, after the successive bailout packages and the austerity measures in place, initially after the crisis, there was a lot of backlash, increasing income taxes, but this was accompanied by high unemployment rate. So the younger population was hit the most. The unemployment rate in countries like Greece touched 25%. Income inequality increased, and more people were at risk of poverty. So over the years, the measures taken have given returns. The countries are on their road to recovery. They have recovered also, but yes, again a bump came in the form of the corona crisis. But again, at that time, European Central Bank came to the rescue of the member nations, and a 750 billion recovery fund was launched. Now, in between all these developments, there have been a number of political changes also. So I'll just go back to the slide. I think I included this, that many nations in the European Union saw a change in their government during the period of crisis. So people were not happy with the governments that were including the austerity measures, implementing the austerity measures, and the repercussion or aftermath was seen in the form of government changes in around, I think, 14, 15 nations in Europe during this time saw change in the government at the center. Okay, apart from this, what was the other big repercussion of this crisis was that around this time, the vibe or the initiation of Brexit started. So it was in 2016 that UK voted to leave the European Union. There was a referendum, and finally Brexit took place in 2020, January 31st, 2020. There were a number of apprehensions that the European Union per se would collapse, and the economies would fail. Now, obviously, this combined with the corona crisis impacted the member countries. Even British pound depreciated a lot. But then over the years, there has been improvement in the situation. After the European debt crisis, again, when I'm talking about 2016, Italy was also on verge of collapse. Now, the Italian loans were going junk. Again, the reason here was that the financial system was not managed properly. Now, Italy is a very big economy, or it is much larger economy as compared to, say, Greece or Spain or Portugal. So now EU had to pull up the socks again, and again there was bailout of financial institution with taxpayers' money, and Germany had to take the lead there. So, out of the five countries, Ireland was given bailout after Greece. Italy and Spain, Spain required more financial assistance. Cyprus required more financial assistance, and Portugal also got a proper bailout package. So, this was the scenario with respect to the European debt crisis in financial terms.